On January 15th. Can you please take the roll?
Mr. Brookover,
Present.
Mr. Bricker,
Here.
Ms. Cunningham. Here. Mr. Dalton,
Here.
Mr. Hayward,
Here.
Ms. McWhinney. Here. Mr. Rush,
Here.
Ms. Thompson. Here. Councilman Browning, Vice Chairwoman Hibinger. Here. Chairwoman Lash.
Here. Can I have a motion to excuse Councilman Browning? Do I need to?
Motion, that's a motion to excuse.
Can you call?
Second.
Okay, can you call roll, please?
Mr. Brookover,
Here.
Is yes okay? Yes, no?
Yes. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I've done that too.
Mr. Bricker,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham.
Yes.
Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. McWhinney.
Yes.
Mr. Rush,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Hibinger,
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes back from October 16th? And as a reminder, as long as you read them, that is okay. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, can we call roll, please?
Mr. Brookover,
Yes.
Mr. Bricker,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. McWhinney. Yes. Mr. Rush,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Hibinger,
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 3 is public comments, which it doesn't look like we have any today. Then we will go into the update on the YMCA.
I want to introduce Liz Zingali. She is the new executive director at the Delaware Community Center YMCA. This is her first meeting, so she's been at the Y for a little while, so she's not brand new to Delaware at all. She just got her title this last week, right? So we've been working with Liz. We probably met last year, but for the last several months, and Liz has been great to work with. She's really been on top of a lot of things, and we've already developed a pretty good working relationship. So she's here tonight to give you the update on the Y.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hi. Just a quick few things. November and December, so it's going back a little bit since we haven't met in a while. Youth sports were down slightly over 2017 numbers. Not enough that we were concerned about it. Just, I think we actually lost 2 families that made a difference in that. Basketball just started and so far is going well. Daddy-daughter dance was a huge success. It actually sold out, and we had over 400 couples there, so it was a lot of fun. We have fencing starting. It is low in enrollment right now. It is on Saturday mornings. If you know anybody who's interested, we need about 3 more to continue it. However, we are going to run it 1 more week in the hopes that we get those 3 more to continue. The Mother-Son Superhero Dance or Party is coming up on March 8th. We are always looking for volunteers. If anybody is available and interested, we would love to have you there. The robotics class is coming up in the near future. We are still waiting to hear which dates work best for that instructor. He's really excited to get back and do it again with us, so I think that that'll be a big success. And last but not least, we are hiring a Mingo coordinator, so somebody who will work very specifically with that Mingo area park and keep things moving forward, work with the concessions and the desk during the summer, work on bringing on some volunteer opportunities and things like that. So I had a couple of really great interviews, and I think we're gonna do really well there. Any questions?
No questions?
Has Mother-Son Superhero that usually sells out pretty quickly, has that started already, the registration?
Registration is open, but we haven't publicly announced it yet because we know the minute that we announce it, it's going to sell out.
Yeah.
So we're trying to give it some time for our Delaware County to sign up first. We want the city of Delaware to sign up first, but then once we put it on our Facebook page, everybody jumps in. So yes, it's open and already filling pretty quickly.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any questions?
I'll ask a question. On the father dance and the mother dance, are there options for like single parent families?
Yeah, so a lot of the people at the father-daughter dance were not necessarily fathers to daughters. Sometimes they were grandfathers with their daughters or their granddaughters, or uncles with their nieces. So it's just to try to strengthen the bond between parents of different genders.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So, I don't want to back, Liz is fairly new, but Corey brought it up when she walked in. So I know a lot of people have heard about the Riptide swim team. Has everyone kind of seen how that's progressed? It kind of started last month. So Liz is knows a little bit about it here and there, bits and pieces here and there. But as of now, we're moving forward. There's been a new coach hired, and she's doing real well. So she's been hired. Moving forward with that, there's some kinks, with anything that we want to work out in the future, and that how we can improve the program, and we're going to work on those too. So I think the month of December was a big blow up. There was the coach that was there before ended up resigning. It was kind of some drama going on there, but the questions have been answered. There were possibly some code conduct violations. They were investigated. Nothing came of those. Unfortunately, the coach wouldn't come back. He resigned and just felt it wasn't a right fit for him to come back. So a new coach was hired. The Y was able to get a coach on short notice. So they are moving forward right now, and we can answer any questions if you have anything on that. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what was going on and where it's at right now, and we can answer any questions if we can.
The only question that was asked to me was about money. And I don't know if I should I don't want to speak for somebody. If I should just direct them to either of you.
Exactly. I know I've heard of these. You probably heard of them too. The scoreboard and some of the fees that go along with it. It was addressed at City Council last night with some YMCA representatives there. The fees that are involved in the Riptide Swim program are no different than any other fees at any other program. So, but those items will be addressed moving forward. I think there's answers to all those questions. A lot of people kind of jump to conclusions sometimes. So those will be answered as we move forward though. But we are moving forward, and I think everything's kind of getting back on track.
Ted, I have a copy of the written statement from last night's meeting if you want me to forward it.
Yeah, I think that we probably will do that. We'll probably forward that. We have a statement from the YMCA and then also from some of the Riptide parents that might bring you up to speed on what's kind of gone on in the past. But we want to answer any questions in person if we have, or if you feel free, just email me and I can get an answer for you.
I think you sent us some information out a month ago or so, didn't you, on that?
I believe so.
Yeah, I remember
Okay.
getting.
Because we weren't meeting, and so I wanted to kind of keep you up to speed on some of these things as they came along. Okay. It's kind of a big elephant in the room there. I wanted to address it there. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, well, welcome, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the update of the parks.
Okay, so we have, I'll try to be quick. We have a Hayes Monument. I'll start with that one. I think everyone's pretty familiar with that. That has gained a lot of momentum in the last the month. We've had some big donations from Ohio Health and then I think Greif Brothers recently. So that project is off the ground. We've been able to release the sculptor who can start the project, and we're shooting for first Friday in October of this year.
Is that the one that's going to be right out in front of like Amato's area?
Yep. Correct, right on that corner. Fix the fountain. There'll be lighting and some interpretive panels out there. But Bill Reitz, a lot of you probably know Bill Reitz. He's done a great job getting that project off the ground and moving it forward. So looking forward to that, and bringing Hayes home, I think, is the motto that's moving forward there. So I think we got a copy of the Oak Grove Master Plan that was sent out. That's the first draft of the master plan. So I'm still going through some parts of that, but if you have any questions or comments on that, please forward those to me so I can get them back to our consultant and get that document updated. Are there any questions on that tonight? Has everyone read it cover to cover?
I do have a question on it.
Sure.
Are those numbers fixed or is that a proposal?
Those are estimates and proposals at this point, yeah. We wanted to kind of get some rough ideas on some of the improvements and costs and also, we've got some work to do on that part of it, I know, so. Are there any other questions on that?
On page 20, the site and cost analysis, I'm not sure I fully understand what that means. Like it says there's 648 spaces under like the Gateway Garden. Spaces per year, plus or minus 29 for 22 years. I don't know what that means.
That's kind of the build out.
Okay.
How many more years? We've got a limited amount of space left out there, and that's part of the reason we wanted to look at this master plan. And so with using those numbers, that's how many years we have left out there. And typically that cemetery, it's kind of an old school cemetery. We've just done interments where we haven't looked at some of the cremations, which are trending, and scatter gardens, which don't take up as much space. So we're going to look at instituting some of those as part of this master plan.
That helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what part of we wanted to know is how many more years we're going to be able to operate this with our, how many sites we're selling a year.
I thought it looked really nice.
Yeah, I think there's some good things in there. And if anything else comes up, please feel free to send me an email or give me a phone call. The Ross Street Park, by next meeting, it should have the master plan. We've been meeting with the Ross Street folks. If you're not familiar, that's the Second Ward Community Initiative. The Parks and Natural Resources Department has vacated that building that used to be our operations crew operate out of there. Now we're out at 440, so Stacy and I and the crew are all under the same roof, which is a lot smoother. But those buildings are vacated there now. So a lot of groups, including the Community Coalition, which is in Delaware, have been interested in that site. So we met with them last week, and their plans are, I don't know if you're familiar with the SWCI, but they've been very successful out on the site they are in now in the current building. Got a lot of kids coming in and doing a lot they have the STEM program going on, and they've got a lot of interest in that. They want to expand their lab. And one of the buildings that we used to use, they feel is a good site for a new lab, expanded lab. So that's one of the things they want to do in there. The other building is a larger building, and they want to turn that into more of a multi-use space where it could be some fitness activities, some rentable space, more of a community center area. So they're looking at options on that. They're also looking at how they're going to fund that. So we're going to look at some concepts that incorporate those uses into that space. We're also going to look at some of the outdoor space there where we're going to incorporate some additional site amenities based on some of the surveys. But our goal is to get this concept plan and get it in front of the public by next month so that we can get public comment back in and then finalize that master plan. So look forward to seeing that. Any questions on that? That's going to be a really a neat project, I think, as we move forward. The Central Avenue Trail, you guys are probably familiar with the new section that we've just completed on, and by the way, it'd be west of Houck Road. That section that is not done in front of the new development, that will be done, but we didn't put the trail in because they're building a new site, those new Trey Plus condominiums. And so we worked to deal with the developer where they're going to put that trail section in because it would have just got torn up with their new development. So that should be in by spring or early summer to finish that section on out. So now we're moving forward with the Houck to Lexington to finish up that final gap. And we've got a preliminary plan basically along the north side of Central Avenue, same side of the trail and sidewalk is now. We're meeting with 3 property owners down through there. That's going to be a little bit difficult. You're familiar probably with that brick house that's there. It's tough, but we're working with them, and they're very, the family that lives there has been very great with that to work with. So we're working through some details, hopefully get release a consultant to finish design on that in 2019 and construction in 2020. The other, there is a, I just found, we're part of the community coalition. They've expressed interest in bringing Gus Macker to Delaware this summer. If you're not familiar, it's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. They bring their hoops in, they set up on the streets. It would be kind of a Friday, Saturday event, but it's a pretty good event. It brings in a lot of teams. It brings a lot of economic support to downtown Delaware, and we may use the blue limestone courts as kind of the finale. You know, as teams advance, they play tournaments. So that's kind of exciting news, and I think it would be good to try. Gus Macker's been around a while, but I think it's seen a resurgence lately. So
What's it called again?
Gus Macker, I think it started in Michigan. I don't know who Gus Macker is. I think he's the originator, but it's been around. I did it a long time ago.
30 years.
Yeah. So
When would that be?
I'm sorry.
When would that take place?
We don't know. We have to plan a date. The weekends are getting booked in Delaware already for 2019. So there's not a lot of weekends left, right, Lynn? So we've got to kind of plan a date. He was even talking about two times, but I think once is a good start. So we'll try that. So we're going to try to support that as much as we can. The Mingo facility, Liz we've been working with Liz to kind of revamp this facility. We've put a new HVAC system in. I think last time I talked in the gym, which is working well. We put new lights in the gym. Right now we're working on new HVAC in the Hilborn room, which really definitely needed it. And we put some new drinking fountains up just in time for basketball season. They were desperately needed. Putting some new lights in some of the areas. It's just an older building, but it's a really good shape. It just needs some new updates to make it more efficient. And I think we'll see those improvements will go a long way in that building. But that's all the updates. I'm
Put
sorry?
new lights up in the basketball court areas. right?
Yes.
I can tell because we're doing our Y tennis in there.
Mhm.
And you can really tell it's much brighter.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, I think I told you actually when we went with the lighting contractor, it's the same. They put the new lights up in the pool at the Delaware Community Center, and we think in about 7 years, the electricity that we'll save, and these lights will pay for themselves.
Nice.
So that's a really good improvement, and plus it's a better light in there now.
What's that?
That's all the updates I had for now. Any questions? I feel like I'm rambling, so.
Questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the YMCA annual report.
So I think you've seen in the past, the YMCA completes the annual report for the year. And right now, Liz and I are kind of going through and updating this report. Yeah, we meant to have it on this, but we'll send it out as soon as it's ready. We wanted to add some numbers, some comparisons from last year to this year, just so you can see, you know, which programs are on the rise, which programs are folded steady, what new programs are out there. And so that report will be should be available probably next week. So, did you get the first draft copy of that in your packet? Sorry, I didn't. Okay, we'll send. I think we were kind of waiting till we got all the final numbers and everything in there, so we'll send that out next week.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the Oak Grove Cemetery Master Plan.
I think I kind of hit on that earlier. Sorry.
Okay, then we'll move on to staff comments. Flying along.
I think I covered everything. Our guys did a great job on snow removal. Kind of think it was a warm up last weekend. Looks like there may be a bigger one coming in this weekend. So, they've got it down to a pretty good science. And us being out at Public Works, we're able to coordinate with the streets department, and so it's worked out really well. And unless you guys heard any new comments, anything else we need to address that happened over the weekend? Okay. And so as I mentioned, our staff is out at Public Works, so it's been working really good out there. I think we're coordinating a lot better. We're getting geared up for summer. We're getting the pots hanging baskets ready to go. Believe it or not, as hard as it is to think about that right now, but greenhouse, getting that geared up and ready to roll. So it's been, even though it's wintertime, we're still pretty busy. We kind of save some projects as we can, like the drinking fountains. Our staff installed those out at the Mingo. We kind of try to save some things back during the year that we know we can do in the wintertime indoors. So getting those things done right now.
Hey, Ted, can I go back to the snow removal for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know whose responsibility it is if a plow takes out a mailbox?
Linda, do you get that question a lot?
They just need to call my office, and then we take a report. The street staff will go out, and if they need to make a temporary repair so that they can get their mail, they do that. They look at a lot of different things, whether there's proper setback from the street, whether there was weight of the snow pushing it off, if there was any damage to the post before the thing, you can tell whether there's rot or something. And then a determination is made, and if we're responsible for it, we're going to replace it. And if it's because of the weight of the snow, they saw rot on the post, wasn't set back properly, they'll get a letter from me that says, here's the findings. And if you disagree with our findings, then they can submit a claim to the city's insurance carrier.
Do you have a general rule of thumb on snow removal as far as, I know it's primary streets, secondary streets, tertiary streets, whatever it is, but when every street should be touched at least once? Like if you haven't seen this latest snowfall was fantastic, other than the fact that it hit my street at 4:30 in the morning. But even, nonetheless, I'm happy it got hit. We live in the court, so we're the very last street, probably in Delaware to get hit. So I'm just happy when I hear a plow. I know years prior, probably the last snowfall we got, which could have been several years ago, it might have been 3 days before I saw a plow. I'm just curious if there's a general rule of thumb. If you don't see your street get plowed within 3 days after it stops snowing, give them a call and know, hey, I think you forgot our street. Or is that, I'm just curious.
He's going to look at me.
I'm going to ask Linda. Linda deals
I believe
with
the
this.
policy is on the website, but I believe it's once this event has stopped, within 48 hours, everything should be done. They actually, I think they said they finished 31 hours after the event stopped this time.
Yeah, this time was fantastic. I mean, all the streets look great the next morning. So just curious.
Yep.
I have a question about it too, as far as cars that are parked on the street. I mean, what's the city's,
Let's go around them.
Yep.
it's like this,
That's all we can do.
Right.
and it's,
They do their best to go around them, and then unfortunately, when they do move them, then people want us to come back and move it, plow the streets, and we can't do that because then we push that stuff into people's driveways. And if your car wasn't the one that was parked there and we push it into your driveway, you're going to be upset with it. So standard rule of thumb is we go around, do the best we can, and
it's hard to back out of your driveway when that's, I don't know.
ask your neighbors to not park on the street when it snows.
I'm afraid to say.
Yeah, and just the Parks Department is responsible for parking lots, some of the trail, the multi-use trails, and some of the sidewalks at city buildings too. So we'll assist in streets when needed, but the Streets Department kind of primarily handles all the roads and everything. So did I get that right, Linda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, Ted, I'd like to go back to Oak Grove Cemetery.
Uh-huh.
I have a question about that. It was approached to me last week that the tombstone of Sidney Moore, who happened to be the husband of Sarah Moore from the Sarah Moore home, has sunk a little bit, and was wanting to know the policy. Who's responsible for maybe upkeeping something like that? Is that family or is that the Parks and
Typically,
Rec?
it is family
Okay.
on the plots, but we've straightened. That's one of the goals we have is straightening out.
I thought, yeah, okay.
a lot of those, but there is so many of them in there right now. We've we can't go in and tackle them all, so
Right.
we're kind of tackling them by section right now. Is it looking, John, our cemetery manager, tries to address some, the ones that are, might be falling over and cause damage. If they see something like that, he tries to address that earlier, but he's trying to tackle it section by section. This time of year, he's been able to get more of them done because he's not mowing or picking up leaves or anything like that. So, and I know we made the news not too long ago about that too, but we inherited the cemetery 5 years ago, and we've repaired, I think, over 200 headstones at this point. And my number's right, Linda?
I think so.
Yeah, so we're making progress on those headstones. We know we have some more to do, but one of the things we're doing is getting some training for our guys, because from some local experts, we've actually got a cost for a consultant to come in and repair all the headstones, and it was kind of a big number. So we're training some of our staff on how to repair some of these headstones with the glue and the dowels and everything else. But and some stones can't be repaired. They get so old, they're so brittle, you're not gonna do anything with them. But yeah, that is something on our list. But I'll check that one out also too, because it.
Any other staff comments? And we'll roll into member comments. We had a couple. Any other member comments?
I'd like to mention that Ohio Wesleyan's Community Day is February 16th. There's a men's and women's basketball game at 1 and 3, and admission is free with a can of food. Additionally, there'll be 50 to 60 businesses represented in the field house at different tables, including the Humane Society and the zoo with lots of animals that kids would like. It's usually a really good event. If you haven't gone, it's a great chance for the kids to get out, and it's a good atmosphere.
What's the date on that?
February 16th. 1 and 3 are the men's and women's games. Usually women first, men second.
Yep.
And what time does it start?
I was wondering that myself.
I
Noon,
remember,
maybe?
I think
I would
it's
say.
noon.
I think it's noon, yeah, I remember being before the game started.
When I was thinking about this comment I realized I didn't have all the information, but I think it's noon.
Noon or 11.
Ted, thinking about spring sports already, because we're all dreaming of warmer weather. Is there any update around this no smoking that we talked about at the end of last year, or anything?
No, it's waiting kind of in limbo on council agenda. So I believe it'll probably be up before too much longer. It should be back to council. That we're still moving forward with that ban with a limited distance, and I've voiced our board's desire to have a complete ban on smoking. So, but I think the council feels more comfortable moving forward with a distance at this point. So it's still waiting to go on their agenda, and I foresee it in the future here, next couple months. What do you think, Elaine?
We've had a rough couple months. Obviously, we went budget season, and our next meeting of council is actually a joint meeting with the Delaware City School Board. So that is on the 28th. So I would not expect it to be anywhere in the next couple meetings. As soon as it is on the agenda, you will be notified.
Yeah, I was just curious because I knew at a minimum last time we talked about it, it was at least putting the signs up at the T-ball fields. And so to get that approved and happen before spring sports kick off, that's what I was curious about.
Yeah. I'll mention that and see if we can't find out when we're going to get that on the agenda.
Any other member comments?
I just want to say, as I am hearing from some Riptide families, I'm going to suggest that if they have concerns, to bring them to you. Because the two families that I'm hearing from are not people that you heard from last night.
Okay.
And there are still some issues and there are still some concerns. So I get that we might be hearing one little piece of the pie, but I kind of think we need to hear from the whole pie,
Yeah. I got a text too while we're sitting here.
probably from the same family.
Probably, I don't know.
Just give it, texting them your phone number as you.
No, I emailed you, but
Yeah, I got a different text, yeah, so, yeah, I think it's something Liz and I are gonna have to take a look at and see what we can do to right the ship here, so. We definitely recognize that it's a problem, and like I talked to some of the other families, it's not something we can, I wish I could snap my fingers and fix this thing, I think we're
Correct.
gonna have to make some changes that will help them keep this thing.
some policies.
Because Delaware has a really
procedures.
strong swim program, and we want to keep that, so it's something we've got to address.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other, go ahead.
I had a quick question to you guys from my AP Environmental Sciences class. So last time we had a meeting, we talked about the smoking ban, and we started talking about parks in our class. And my teacher proposed the question of what would you like to see more of in parks to get more interested and to be in there more. And a general consensus was most people said they would like to see either more beautification, like more flowers, more vibrant colors, things repainted, or some of them like in Deer Haven and Shale Hollow, when you walk on the pass, there's little signs that have a bronze plaque on it that says like this, it's this type of tree. It gives the name and a little quick snippet about it. They said like they would like to see more of those. I don't know if that's something you could manage or who I could talk to about for that.
It could, I did some of those that you were talking about. So yeah, that's something definitely those are really easy to do actually. So was there like a survey or was this like just discussion that you guys had? Because I'm always interested in discussions like this.
Yeah, just a discussion that we had in class.
So more beautification. You talk about like prairie plants and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is something we are definitely looking at doing. So we're looking at putting in some more prairies and not specifically in some of our parks, but we could look at doing some more of that. And one of the things when I came to, we have a lot of active space in our parks. Preservation parks, we had a lot more natural or passive space. So we're looking at getting more passive space in some, and not actually getting more, opening up some of the passive spaces we do have. So, and Wetland Park is one of those where we have some opportunities out there to really do some more of that, including some walking trails out there. So it's good to hear. I'm glad you brought that up tonight, though, because I always like to hear that kind of stuff.
Ted, do you have any updates on the park that we were looking at across from the Y?
Not right now. They're building the road though, and so at this point we're going to try to look at moving forward with continuing that trail and maybe make a whole loop around the park. That's about as much money as we have in our budget right now to do, but we also want to plan for some of those future phases with the fields that were associated in that master plan. We're looking at some other alternative sites for a cricket field. So that's not off our radar yet, but it won't, until we get one, it won't come off. So we're still looking at some of that. It's just really hard with that cricket field. It's really huge. But I think there's a spot that we might be able to do something quickly on that.
Are you looking at a dedicated cricket field or a
multi-use field?
Multi-use where you put maybe the pitch in between two other fields?
Exactly. I think that's more viable right now. So yeah, we're looking at that. I can't really say where it's at yet because I'm still trying to get permission from the. It's not going to be a city park, but it's a field it's a HOA where they have 2 soccer fields ready to go, and it just makes total sense. So,
are they actively pursuing that with you?
I'm actively pursuing it with them.
Okay.
So trying because I think it's. They don't have to invest a lot in it. They probably don't really have to invest anything in it if they let the cricket group organization, allow them to do what they want on these 2 fields, and they wouldn't impact the 2 fields at all, really. It's in the south part of Mr. Your precinct down there, so it's some of the new areas that are going in down there. So.
I recently met with the Columbus Cricket Club and the Dublin Cricket Club, and apparently this is a World Cup year. So it's similar to soccer when interest in soccer grows during the World
Okay.
Cup. This is a World Cup year for cricket. So they're anticipating a lot of, people jumping on the bandwagon and wanting to play cricket, numbers to go up, and then the next couple of years they'll go back down and they'll come up again.
Yeah. So.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, that, I bet you're right. So I'll get more phone calls on that. So yeah, which is more important to move this forward.
Move it up on the list.
Yes.
Any other comments? Okay, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
My motion.
Second.
All right, we adjourned at 7:05.
Community Day